So I was bullied a lot growing up. Believe it or not, growing up in a village of 1,500 people where everyone knows your name and who your parents are is not as easy as you'd think. I spent the majority of my younger days doing everything I could to pretend to fit in, whether it was laughing at the jokes coming my way or changing my hobbies to give them less fuel to stoke the fire. I pretty much avoided being myself at all costs. I vividly remember begging my parents to buy me a pair of these Nike basketball shoes with the straps because I believed that they would be the key to my acceptance as a cool kid. Don't get me wrong, the sneakers were sick, but my reason for wanting them was misguided. You see, every ounce of my being as a child went towards wanting to be accepted. I didn't care what I had to do. I would have cut my hair and changed my name if it meant fitting in. And that mindset followed me all the way into my young adult life. Every decision, every action, driven by the question, what will they think? What will they think of how I dress? What will they think if I drop out? What will they think if I switch careers? What will they think if I share how I feel? What will they think if I post this video on YouTube? Past classmates, strangers, family, everyone had a hand in my decisions other than me. I decided to drop out of college in 2018 after realizing that it would not take me where I wanted to go. I was the overly ambitious creative kid who most people would say was overly optimistic. I wanted more out of life and to capitalize on my creative ambitions, but I was terrified to share my work because it meant being vulnerable, and being vulnerable meant opening myself up to judgment from others, aka being cringe. And having that fear instilled in me because of experiences as a kid made that fear overwhelming. For the next 5 years after dropping out, I made a lot of stuff. I took a lot of photos, got my start in video, messed around with design, and I even played around with making my own music. And I worked hard, and I worked a lot. I constantly practiced. I was constantly trying to make connections in the industry. I still had that dream of being a YouTuber in the back of my head. Everything appeared to be going exactly how you would think I wanted it to go. But it wasn't. I was making a lot of things, but who was the one deciding what I was making? Who was the one choosing one idea over another? Who was steering the ship? It wasn't me. Well, it was me in the literal sense, but it was a version of me still being controlled by what I assumed others thought of me. That lingering need to please others and put their opinions over my own was still there, and it showed in my work. Everything I created had a filter. Every decision I wanted to make had to go through a rigorous series of arbitrary approvals in case, just maybe, that one random kid I met in school 8 years ago might see me vulnerable online and think it is uncool, because that would just be horrible. Now, I'm not saying it is easy to put yourself out there online. I've been doing this for a long time now, and honestly, it is still hard at times. But that's the fucking point. Would it be worth anything if it was easy? How valuable could it really be if everybody was doing it? You will never create anything worth sharing if you are afraid of being cringe, afraid of being different. Being cringe happens when we realize that others perceive us differently than we perceive ourselves. But is how others perceive us more important than our dreams? Imagine if your favorite music artist never decided to be the cringy kid making music in high school. Imagine if your favorite author decided to keep their books private because they were afraid people would look at them differently after reading it. Yeah, those examples are cliche and corny, but they are cliche and corny for a reason, because it is true. How can we expect to make anything great or do anything out of the norm if we are too afraid to act a little different? As A$AP Rocky once said, since when has it become not cool to try? I was on a call recently with a client of mine, and he said something that really made me think. He was telling me about how when he travels to Mexico this month, he will warn his friends and family beforehand that he's going to film and document everything, that he's going to go full YouTuber mode. When I mentioned how I still get nervous filming in public and in front of other people, he replied and said, "My dreams are more important than being cringe." For most of my life, I was subconsciously holding others' opinions as a higher priority than my fulfillment. Without realizing it, I was putting my dreams on the back burner because I was scared what other people might think if they knew I was chasing something abnormal. I have since overcome most of the hesitation I have around this, but when he said that line, I couldn't help but linger on it because it perfectly stated what I knew was true. My dreams are more important than others' opinions. There is no if, ands, or buts. There is no argument to be made. We are born and die alone, and so the only one who needs to truly accept yourself is you. And you will never do that if you cannot accept being yourself. But when you accept who you are, the beliefs you have, and the dreams you chase, you open the door to fulfillment and opportunity. You have to be cringe to be accepted. You have to be an outlier to find your community. You can't fit in if you want to fit in. Be your unfiltered, vulnerable self, regardless how it feels, because it is the only way to make anything worth sharing. Be okay with being cringe.